Network Security, Chapter 2. Let's take a look at the Security Plus knowledge objectives, the areas we need to be familiar with in preparing for the Security Plus exam. In the area of network security, I want to make an overall sort of scoping statement that most of the attention in Security Plus network security relates more to the local area network side of networking as compared to wide area networking protocols like frame relay, other types of public services. However, we do look at perimeter security, such as firewalls and demilitarized zones. So in the area of knowledge objectives, we need to be able to distinguish and differentiate between different network design elements and compounds. Basically, what's the difference between a wide area network and a local area network? We're going to find out there's 3 different categories of protocols that actually makes networks work. And we're going to take a look at how those come into play and also how they affect security. We also need to be familiar with network ports, which is another name for an application service identifier. We also want to take a look at the security in network devices such as bridges, routers, switches, and such, and determine what needs to be done to protect those devices from unauthorized use, manipulation, maybe even denial of service. We also need to identify how we administer networks. What are the things that we have to do from a security perspective to make sure that we have a securely administered network? Finally, we need to remove the wires and take a look at wireless networking, most notably the 802.11 Wi-Fi technology along with Bluetooth. Let's take a look at our agenda, our roadmap for this chapter. First of all, we're going to try to figure out what a network is. So when we see one, we'll understand what it's doing. And 2 of the main areas are protocols and encapsulation. Now, the assumption in terms of prerequisite knowledge in preparing for the Security Plus certification is you have the equivalent knowledge background that relates to Network Plus. So protocols and encapsulation should not be alien terms to your knowledge base. And then we need to figure out how we locate hosts and other entities in the network. So we're going to look at network addressing, where we look at media access control, MAC addresses, the TCP/IP addressing, current day IPv4, and we're transitioning little by little into IPv6. We also want to take a look at address resolution protocol, ARP, dynamic host configuration protocol, and the domain name system, all very important ingredients in operating today's TCP/IP networks. And then we go to an extremely important area in network security, literally the root of all evil, TCP/IP applications. And there's quite a number of these that we have to be intimately familiar with in preparing for the Security Plus examination. We also want to take a look at network device operation, management and security. This would entail what goes on with a switch, a router, and some of the important security practices we must exercise in protecting these control points in the network. And then we go out to our perimeter and circle the wagons. We take a look at demilitarized zones, which contain firewalls, proxy servers, mail guards, and all kinds of and sundry filters that filter out unwanted traffic coming into our network. And then we remove the wires and take a look at wireless LAN, wireless security. Maybe your home has a wireless network connection. Are you secure? One of the hottest technologies in the last 5 years is cloud computing. Another opportunity to outsource various parts of your IT services to various service providers across the internet. Cloud computing can also be deployed on the inside of your network. And then at the end of the chapter, as we do in all parts of our courses, we review the key topics you need to be familiar with for the Security Plus exam. And of course, from time to time, we'll point you to one of the most valuable resources in preparing for the Security Plus exam, and that's the Security University free practice tests. First of all, let's categorize broad categories of networking. A local area network, often referred to as a LAN. This has limited geographical coverage, and you usually run it yourself, or at least on your premises and have a contractor do it for you. A metropolitan area network is where you have a LAN that extends out over a metropolitan area. It might be a city, a zip code, office complex, and usually you have to get this service from a service provider, such as AT&T or Sprint or Verizon. And finally, we go out to the area where we always have to get a service provider, and that's wide area networking. This would cover a broad geographical area, and all of this is operated by some type of service provider. Now let's talk protocols. A great analogy for protocols is you've got two people that are trying to talk to each other and understand what each other is saying. So if one speaks French and the other speaks English, and that's the only language they know, will probably encounter difficulty in communicating. Well, the same concept applies to networking. Two or more computers that are trying to send and receive data with some type of productive objective can't do it unless they're abiding by certain rules, so each one knows what to anticipate with communications between one another. Another benefit of network protocols is you can connect computers with different operating systems. You could have Windows, you could have different kinds of Unix, Linux, IBM mainframes, AS400, so on and so forth, and they can all act like they're the same environment, even though they're totally different operating systems under the covers. Also, different protocols provide different levels of functionality and goals, and we're going to address the concept of a protocol stack early on in this chapter to position all these functionalities.